All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to officially week two's sync meeting for TCL-55. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
How about you?
Great. It was great until my computer was not cooperating, but now I feel much better. Cool. Which one? Who's leading demos today?
I'll be going to.
Perfect. Okay. I'll let you
Yeah.
kick off and we'll get started there.
Sure. Thanks, Lai. So we'll start with issue number 3. As a user, I want to set up a new shopping list so I can start tracking purchased items. So Catherine and y'all, who want to go with the demo?
Yeah, since you'd made the last couple changes, do you want to do it?
Sure.
Completely up to you. Okay.
Yeah, I can do it. Let me just get things set up on my side. So we have something fresh. Okay. All right. Let me know when you guys can see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we can see your calendar.
Yeah. So, oh, my calendar. I don't want to share my calendar.
Good thing I said something.
Let me share my other screen. Okay. Can you see my other screen?
Yeah, good now.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just go through the demo first and then we can talk about the code. So for this this tissue, right, we wanted to create a new token and redirect to the list page or the list component. So this is the fresh start, and let me also just pull up the okay, yes, this is what I wanted to show up. So we have something called a key basically stores our token value, and right now I've deleted it, so we have an empty one. So what this will allow us to do is navigate between home and list, right? And we should be able to create a new token, and it should bring us to the list page at this point. So when I press this, can see we have a new value here. It's going to be randomly generated, so we have no control over that. And it automatically brought us to the list page, as you can see. And then if we press home, you will notice a slight figure. We can talk about that for a bit afterwards if you have time. But essentially, it's going to block you from going back to home. And that is pretty much a demo for this tissue. And let's go into the code for a bit. So for this one, we did have an outside dependency that we had to install using npmi for this, and this will bring in a function that allows us to generate a new token. And in our app, we imported a couple, well, just pretty much one new thing, which is navigate, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But also in the app component, we had to update our starting token value to null. I just realized it's not working when I first opened it up. It actually saved my last token value, so we can talk about that for a bit after too. I just realized that now. Okay. And then in the terms of the routes, this is where we did some conditional rendering. This is the final product of what we had talked about last night. And I'll talk about what it looked like originally. So what this is doing is we're grabbing the list token value from up here in our state. And then if it exists, right, which it exists now, we're going to check and we're going to navigate to list. Otherwise, the default is to render home. So if I had deleted this, right, and we have nothing here, and then I go back, right, the default would be to generate home, as you can see now. And then in our home component, which is here, we needed to add a new button. So here we also added the use navigate. This comes from React Router DOM. And what this does is it helps us navigate between pages. Right. So we created a function where we created a new token calling the function I mentioned earlier from the import that we got. Generating that new token, it's just going to generate a random 3-letter string each time. And then using this handle list token state, which is being passed down from app, this is our prop handle list token state, which brings in set list token from app. And set list token basically changes our list token value using use state with storage. This was a custom hook. I took a little bit look at this. What it does is it basically does the heavy lifting for the setting and deleting and getting the storage value from our local storage for us. And going back, once we have generated and set that new token, it will just bring us to list. And then here, this is the button that over here. And then on that click, we are calling handle create list, which is up here. And then text create a new list. Any questions so far? I know I definitely have a question about this though. I just realized that. I was assuming that after I start a new instance of my React app, that it would, you know, clear out my previous token since we're setting it to null, but it's not doing that.
So I
Catherine?
think that the use state, typically that's the default if there's nothing. So to start with, so if
Yeah.
there's already a list token set in the
Mhm.
state, it
Yeah.
should already stay there because it's already in the local storage. I
Okay.
think so. It'll stay null if you obviously have something null there. Whereas before, when we were coming in, it was automatically setting it to my test list. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just setting that initial default. It's not like
so that
resetting it
way,
every time.
so that way all users don't end up on like the same list, and then it starts as null, and then after you create a new one,
Yeah.
then that's like your shopping list from then on.
Okay. I figured
So
this
at this
this
point
is
yeah, at this point, if you wanted to like make a new list or something, you'd have to go into
Yeah.
your, and delete it like you did with my test list.
okay. I figured that, like, you know, when we first start the app, it was always going to set it to null to start with.
No, like it's
Okay.
doing what it is intended. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the
It's working
storage
then,
part of
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
So
Okay.
you guys have done great job. Like if it's already there, the token, next time it should pick up the same thing.
Okay.
And yeah, basically user is using the same list created before. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a great job.
Yeah.
Anything
That's-
like specific? Yeah.
I was just going to throw a random aside. A
Mhm.
great interview question that comes up later is the difference between in-memory storage, local storage, and session storage. Grab that. It's fun. A lot of people don't know off the top of their head local storage versus session storage. Anyway, back
Thank you.
to you.
Thank you. So, Catherine, yeah, do you have like anything specific that you wanted to share? You learned new, or like there was any specific difficulties?
I think we kind of learned a lot because we did it one way, right? And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Yao. And then obviously there are multiple ways to do it. So it was kind of fun to learn or to try different things out. So that was, we had some great suggestions, obviously from Devin and Jeremiah, that it was just kind of good to play around with and then realize, okay, like this might actually be better, a better way to do it. And then last night we were going through because that flicker was just bothering us. And so Yao did all the work to see there is a way to potentially fix it, but it goes a little bit out of scope. But it was, yeah. So I thought it was fun to sort of see that there's like, 3 different ways to do something, obviously. And every person has their like initial way that they want to do it. So
Yeah, to add on to what Catherine was saying, if it wasn't for Devin and Jeremiah's like suggestion, we would have never really noticed the flicker. I think we probably noticed it when we like were testing, but didn't like stay that. And then like we never looked into it further because it wasn't something that was on the tissue for us to look into. And basically that opened up a whole new rabbit hole, and I feel like we both learned a lot just from that one, one suggestion. And I think Catherine took care of the other part where Jeremiah and Tisha's team also had to use list token, but we had like different names, right? And just to keep things consistent, like this was something we like saw, like this, we would have never noticed this if we never reviewed their code. Yeah.
That's great. So it's good to see that you guys are learning well, working. That's great. We'll move to the next issue. So that's the 4th one. As a user, I want to add a new item to my shopping list so I can start recording purchases. So Jeremiah or Tisha, who want to go ahead for the demo?
Tisha, do you have a preference?
No, if you want to go over it, I think you have a better grasp of the last couple of things that were added.
Okay. It's I think this. So you should be able to see a browser with 4. Okay. So this is from this issue number 4. Oh my- So we wanted to be able to add items to their shopping list under the add item view. So we had previously worked in a few of the other views, but there wasn't a way to add items to a shopping list. And then we wanted the user to be able to select how soon or how often they want to, or they're going to need to buy the item again. So they had to be able to choose between soon, kind of soon, and not soon, and those have numbers of days associated with them. And then there were a few accessibility requirements associated with it, and then there was a wireframe also. And then in the code, we messed with the API a little bit because previously there was just a console log happening instead of being able to add an item. So we had to look through the documentation for Firebase to be able to actually interact with the database that we have. So if you go here through all of us interacting with this and testing it, there are a lot of different items on here. This is the view that we were in charge of, that we came up with. So this is just a form, and then it has the input for the item name, the different options that you can pick, and then a button to send that data to our API to add it to the list. So from the code perspective, we had to add the list token or the list ID to the add item route. So that way we would know which shopping list the item needed to get added to. We used the add doc function from Firebase Firestore. So that way the information could actually get sent to Firestore to get added. So it was just changing the console.log that was here to add doc essentially. And then here we are returning true or false. We couldn't really trigger an error from like values or things that we were inputting, but just in case something did go wrong, or if like Firebase was down or something, we wanted to be able to show an error message on the front end. So inside the front end, we changed it from just this paragraph tag to, we have some state and we have an effect, and then the add item function that we were just looking at. So we have time frame, we have the name of the item, and then the message is just to let the user know like whether or not we were successful, and that's also what this is. So whenever the item goes to whenever it gets successfully added to the list or not, we change message, and then this changes it back to nothing, to an empty string or null. So we have some functions that we added, so that way we could change the name of the item and the time frame. And then we have our function for when we submit the form. So from Yao's suggestion in our meeting last week, if the user tries to submit an empty string, then it just says that they can't do that. And then we get the result because that's either going to be true or false from the add item function, and then it needs the list ID, and then the name of the item, and then the number of days until the user is going to buy it again. And then, yeah, based on whether or not that's true or false, we show a message, and then we set the item name to an empty string, and then we set the time frame to back to 7 days. And then everything else that's in here is just the form. So here's the message part. Here's where they can, submit, and then all of the radio buttons, and then the input. And then we change this to legend because that's what it was supposed to be. Yeah, I caught that. And then, yes. that's where we're at.
Thanks, Sharmaya. So do you wanna, like, you guys really did good job. Do you want to share like anything that you felt like it was challenging enough to do, or like you had anything new that you learned?
Yes, so a few things that
Mhm.
I think this is kind of what Yao was saying. Also, just we got together on Monday and we came up with what we thought was like a working, like, okay, we did it. And then over the course of the week, there were like several small things that were either like better ways to do what we had already done, or they were like things that we didn't quite do right that were needing to be changed. So I guess just like that, the difference between like thinking that you're done and then like waiting a day and then reevaluating and then seeing if you're actually done. Because yeah, I think that if we waited like one day and then either met again or like reviewed our code, we probably would have caught some of these things. But because we did it all in one go, there were like several small things that needed to be adjusted. And then also like making sure that you clean up everything, because like at one point we had like an object for the like number of days, because we were using like soon, not soon, and kind of soon for the time frame, and then converting that to the numbers. And then I went through and changed these to all be like strings, just because that's what like the value is from the event in these. But I didn't change it to a string everywhere. So there were like some differences for like it was a number in one place, not string. So I guess just being I can't think of the word, but checking like all of it, I guess, going through and making sure that it works again after you make each change.
That's good. So can we have like a demo of the actual deployed change? Yep.
Yes, so here's our list of items. I think they get added to the top. So if we wanted to add like a controller, and then we want it not soon. So add a controller to your list, and then this should be when I was I don't know why it's not going back to soon, but I was having this issue earlier and I had to like hard refresh to get it to work. But oh, right here maybe. Okay. Yeah, they're not in order, but
That's good. So thanks, Sharmaya. I think you both the teams have like, I mean, groups have worked as intended for the issues, and we are good to go with the retro. I think, Devin, wanna?
Good job, everyone. Like
Mhm.
significant step up from the work from last week, and y'all
Yeah.
worked it through, got it in, and everything's functional. Little bit of tiny little things. It's always going to show up when you're doing code. Like especially when you start poking around like other people's code on the web, you can always find little things on everybody's websites. So like perfection's usually the enemy of getting done, and you guys got it in. Good job.
All right, cool. Has anyone done a retrospective before? Yeah.
I'm currently doing them in my internship. I can like kind of talk about it briefly in like the layman's term. But essentially what they are is they are meetings at the end of every sprint, right? In our case, I guess our sprint is a week, right? Because we work on stories for the whole week. In this case, well, actually, no, it's every 2 weeks, but basically the team comes together and the goal of a retrospective is to talk about how things went. And it usually can be broken up into 3 parts. What went well, what didn't go so well, and then as well as an action plan for how to fix things that didn't go so well, right? It's supposed to be a safe space, right? We want to be as honest as possible, so that we can, right, talk about the hard things and try to fix those.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it's a good way to just, reflect on the work that was done, and see what lessons we could extract from it, and see how we could grow moving forward. So I'll paste a link in Slack here, and this should open up a board. I could share my screen to begin. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yeah, all right. So we have 4 sections to this one. First off is the appreciation. So this is where you could write, what you appreciate about, it could be a team member, the group. And for this board in particular, we'll be thinking about the last 2 weeks. So everything that we did since then. Second one, as you're saying, what went well. And you could list as many things as you want here. What can be improved? And this is where, like yeah, I was saying, we want to be a bit honest with ourselves, not overly critical or harsh, but maybe things that we sort of could have done better. And then lastly, the action items, which would be steps we plan to take for ourselves, or what we would want to learn, or what our plan would be moving forward. Yeah. For this board, this is in GitHub. So the way we do this really would be to click the add item button, and yeah, so we could start typing. Okay. What I would suggest is just type your message, and maybe at the end of it, leave your initials so we know who types what, and then we could run through all of the cards afterwards. Yeah, so we'll take about 5-7 minutes to get through all this. Yeah. So I can do the first one just so. All right, and take it away whenever you're ready. Like cue some Jeopardy music or something here. On loop for 7 minutes. All right, how are you all doing? Is everyone done? Does anyone need some more time? All right. You just see
Sorry,
some
I'm
thumbs-
still writing my action items.
Okay, cool.
I couldn't find my Zoom screen. I was like, where did it go?
Oh.
All right. I think we should get going because we're gonna run out of time.
Right, pencils down, stop writing. All right, and let's go through the appreciation. So based on your initials, I will just call you out and you can read your appreciations or your cards. So I'll start. I appreciate all the Collab's hard work the last couple of weeks. I know this is a fairly new, situation, new team, but it was great to see you all working together on all these issues so far. So keep it up. Jeremiah. You're muted.
Yeah, we did.
I was double muted. Week one, I was paired with Catherine, and I really appreciate like how passionate she is about like learning everything that goes into, I guess, like the process of making an app and that kind of thing.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yep. So for me, I appreciate my mentors being there for clarification and guidance. Ties into what Lyle was saying about some of these potential issues that are coming up, and we're always like on borderline ever since the first time with scope creep, trying to clarify what should be implemented in this tissue.
All right, and Catherine.
Yeah, so I appreciate Yao for digging into our Flickr issue that you guys pointed out last night, or 2 days ago, sorry. And while like obviously she worked the whole weekend too. So thank you for digging into that.
Hey, Tisha.
There was that error in our view, Devin, that I didn't quite understand at first, but thank you for helping me understand that better and like get into it. And then after talking it over with Jeremiah, and coming up with some approaches, then he was able to implement it and had a good working solution.
Catherine again.
Sorry, I wrote a few. So I'm thankful for Jeremiah's willingness to like just chat with me. Like we did 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. Wow. Post office hours, we kind of just like chatted and looked through the pull request, but then also like he kind of just went through a bunch of different frameworks, and we just started talking about code. So just appreciate you for that, Jeremiah.
And Jeremiah.
Okay. I was partnered with Tisha this week, and pair coding with her was really nice for just working through like the problem that we had. Like she was the first one to open up like the Firestore docs and like find the page that we were looking for and that kind of thing. So, and then bouncing ideas off of her was really nice when we were coding as well.
Back to Catherine.
Thankful for Devin for merging our code for us.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, so really appreciate Catherine for sitting in with me last night for this non-conventional call, just so we could communicate about our work. But essentially, she was in a house where everybody is asleep. She was next to her baby, and I just really wanted to talk about like what I had done, what she thought about it. So the whole time I was talking, and then she was just typing to me in Slack while I was sharing my screen.
It's nice. Tisha.
I appreciate everyone's input and reviews because I like feel like I'm like newer to coding and like don't know like what to implement or what are things I could have missed. So I appreciate all the input and how to make our code better.
And I appreciate the expertise of my fellow mentors, Lyle and Shraddha. We always learn something, talking to Lyle. Like there's always some snippet or some tidbit of information. And Shraddha's just always like, a pro at her presentations and just explaining things. And Catherine.
I'm just really grateful for everybody, the mentors for helping us out with, obviously like we had a lot of questions this week, just with like the Flickr and everything with the different options that we could do. So thank you for everyone, responding and being so responsive and quickly.
All right, so well, love the energy and enthusiasm on part of the Collabs in addressing tissues each week. Some of the PRs are ready for review as early as Tuesdays. Lila.
Sometimes you get a group of people who can be shy and who don't speak up or speak out or plan and get together and talk to each other. And y'all have done an amazing job of all of that. Like you just see the chatter. I see you guys meeting. I see all of the stuff happening. You're doing an excellent job. Please keep doing that.
Catherine.
I thought that the entire team's willingness to try things out, different approaches and stuff like that, was great this week and last week too, but in general.
Yep.
So I thought that we are still doing a good job pacing ourselves so we get our changes in by Sunday. I feel like this week we were slightly cutting close. I was actually expecting some reviews from Lyle and Shraddha, and I was like, oh no, because I was working today too. And if there were any last minute changes, we'll try to get it done after work. But still, I think that we usually try to get together Monday, Tuesday, and maybe sometimes on Wednesdays, try to get our stuff done so that we have ample time for review and fixes if needed.
Tisha.
I've had fun working on the past two issues, and I think it was a good level of challenge so far where there are some things I'm like, okay, I know how to do that. We can knock it out quickly, but also I was learning a lot of things.
Jeremiah.
Kind of what Lyle was saying, I guess. It feels like it doesn't matter like who I message or if it's just like in the Slack in general, like someone will respond within like 30 minutes or something, which feels like really quick response time. So it's pretty nice that everybody's, available and that kind of thing.
All right. And what can be improved?
Yeah, and I think this is a totally expected thing at this point. But you mentioned on a couple of different things as we were going through, like, hey, we found some stuff during the week that either through us or we had questions about, and it's a good idea to try and get on top of that stuff in planning session early in the week. So when you get a hold of the tissue, try and think it through and ask any questions that you can. And also, which you've already, like I said before, been doing a good job of, if you run into questions as you continue to think about it, even after the planning session, by all means, throw it out there in the Slack and, we'll answer and clarify and do that kind of stuff. It just, it saves you from the churn later, where you're working it if you get it up front. So just try, but again, we're going to miss stuff as we go. It's part of the game.
Yep. Jeremiah.
Yeah, taking our time. Tisha and I met on Monday, and then I think Catherine and I the first time met on a Tuesday, and I don't know why, but with times I was like, we can finish this in like one session. And like you don't have to do that. So yeah, just like fighting that urge to do it all in one go. I know Tishan, I met for a few hours last time, and it was like after I got off work. So I know we were both like kind of tired, and if we had, thought about it longer, then we probably would have caught some things that got caught in the PR.
Yeah. Catherine?
I kind of basically said a similar thing in a lot more words. Just taking a step back from the coding, especially in the beginning, and just like really kind of planning it out, I think could be helpful. And then kind of taking some time off. So like if you have something that you think looks good, maybe taking some time off to research, do a little bit to see like, is this the best way that we've done it before like sending out? Yeah, I guess I'm also talking about my action item too. Sorry.
Yeah, Tisha.
Also related to the last two, but I think that when you've just coded something out, like it's easy to miss things because it's so like you just did it, but taking some time off to come back to look at the code again often, and then you can start to catch things that you might not know the first time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Action items, I think I would like to start looking at some of the code maybe as soon as the PRs come out, not necessarily waiting until the end of the week. Because I think there were some things that I missed this week and maybe would have caught had I started looking at it earlier. So I felt like it was like a kind of mad rush down to the end, like yesterday and today. So that would be one of the things. I kind of back to what you're always saying as well. Like, I think getting code to work is one thing, but usually when I'm looking at your code, I'm trying to break it. I'm trying to like, trigger some error or see what doesn't work. So maybe that's something to try as well. Maybe just some testing. Yeah. Catherine, last one.
Yeah, similar thing to what I said for what could be improved. Regrouping, it doesn't have to be long. I know scheduling can sometimes be an issue, but once you have your working solution, like just to review again, try to break it, like you said.
All right, sounds good. All right, gonna pass it over to Lyle. I think Lyle's doing the tissues.
Yep. And just one more thing I wanted to say. Sorry if we sort of agreed as mentors to kind of all chip in and help code review every single week. And there were instances where like I saw Devin had got it, and like it'd been all over the issue, and so I didn't say as much if I thought it was kind of covered. So I think like I will try and communicate more explicitly that like, yep, I also think this looks good. So that you don't feel like we're needing to wait for additional feedback, in that kind of situation. So I'll try and take care of that. Okay. Let
Well,
me
before we move on from that, so originally I thought the expectation was, every mentor would be reviewing our code. Is that no longer the case? Is like one person primarily assigned, or is like everybody, still checking it out? But then I guess maybe you guys just haven't been saying, it looks good. Is
Yeah,
that
like
am I understanding that right?
I mean, I definitely looked at them, but
Okay.
I don't think we were explicit about what we want to do about like approvals
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think in my mind we need to
Mhm.
have 3 mentor approvals to go.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
at least one is probably
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Cool. And then like, yeah, if we, again, I'll also try and like make sure I throw in the looks good to me or something as well, so that it look, we're not making you feel like we're missing anything. But like, yeah, I think also if you get a good enough approvals, like the goal is to get it merged in without, being held up by stuff, and that's what we want to do, is empower you to kind of move. So I think that's where we're gonna try and go. All right, I want you there. Okay, can everybody see my browser window now? Cool. All right, let's go over here. So we've got our 2 issues up to start. So number 5, as a user, I want to join an existing shopping list so that I can share a shopping list with another person. Summary, we want to allow users to join existing shopping lists so that they can manage them with friends or family. This would take the following steps. User enters a existing token into a form. The token is saved into local storage. The user is taken to the list view and shown the existing list. Here's the AC. If a user doesn't already have a token, the home view shows a form that allows the user to enter a token and join an existing list, in addition to the button that allows them to create a new list. So part of the work last week was we said, here's how you make a new list button. And then we're going to add onto that page and say, oh, do you have one already? Drop it in here. The input that accepts the token has a semantic label associated with it. Same kind of accessibility stuff we were talking about last time. The user can submit this form with both the mouse and the enter key. Same kind of thing, accessibility stuff. If the list exists, the token is saved in local storage. The user is redirected to the list view and shown the items on that list. If the list does not exist, the user is shown an error message that explains the problem. So there's an extra check that we need to do in here. In an additional AC, if the user does already have a token, then they are automatically redirected to the list view. So this is partially implemented by what we did last week. We're going to talk about this more in a second, but let me finish walking through the notes and look at the wireframe before we get into it. Notes. So be sure to use the set list token function to save the token that the user enters. Straightforward. You will know your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and the keyboard focus moves to the related inputs. Another accessibility thing, but if you tap on it, you should get the little blinky cursor in the text input. Users will be able to submit the form with the enter key if you listen for the right JavaScript event on the right element. If you are adding an on key down listener anywhere, you might be overcomplicating things. You can assume that users will only be sharing a token if a list has actual items on it. So let's say I create a new shopping list, but I never add any items to it and haven't saved that particular token to Firestore. We can assume that's a list that doesn't exist. This kind of was getting at where you're talking about with collections and can they have a thing in them or be empty. And so I think this should take care of itself, but just kind of keep that in mind as we're going through it. And then if you would like, you can save the token to Firestore immediately when creating a list, and then a user would be able to share an empty list. See issue number 3. So I can't remember where we actually landed on the what happens when you have an empty list thing, but we may or may not talk about that going in there. So this is in my mind an optional criteria on this tissue. Looking at the wireframe, so here's the create new list button. Then we're going to do this or join an existing shopping list. Here's the share token, the token input, and the button. So fairly straightforward. Okay, one thing I want to call out that we mentioned earlier in the week was the redirects. So we said, and this is kind of already partially implemented, that they are automatically redirected to the list view, and we've got that little flicker thing if you try to go over and then you get bounced back. So we can also address the flicker. Here, we could also add the additional criteria of if the user tries to navigate to the list or the add item view without a token, that they are redirected to the home view. That is adding additional scope in a card that already has a decent amount of scope on it. But I would like to offer the opportunity to say, like, yes, we think this is necessary for this issue or not, or is that nice to have criteria? So team, what do we think?
I think as a well-polished product, right, like that makes sense. I do agree that, for the story, there is a lot of stuff to implement. So I don't know how it feels like, because I took a look at this in advance. I think the other story is slightly shorter. If you want to put it in the other tissue.
The only reason I would argue against doing that is because that is related to this feature's functionality.
Yeah.
So, but let's think
Yeah.
about that for a second, and then, or Jeremiah, you want to go?
I was just gonna say, I like the idea of like fixing it while we're messing with the routing here.
So do we want to add that on as criteria?
I personally don't mind, but I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, I think it should be fine too. And if there maybe could we talk about it, like, let's say office hours, if for some reason there is some trouble implementing it or something like that, we could make it optional. But I feel like, yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a bad place to put it, even though there are a lot of user acceptance criteria.
Okay, great. And again, this is just sort of to reiterate that issues are almost always a living document. Messing with the scope during the middle of the week might be, it's problematic because you didn't talk about it with your team, and you're going to potentially like blow your scope and derail the progress of what you agreed to do. But that being said, planning the work, engineer's job is to poke holes in the acceptance criteria, add things that they see that are missing, or talk about why the acceptance criteria is ridiculous and they won't be able to get it done in the week that they're talking about. So this is the stuff we want to encourage people to do. All right. Next one, allowing users to search through the list will help them cut down on clutter and focus on items that they're looking for. So acceptance criteria here is a form is added to the top of the list view above the shopping list. The form includes the following elements: a text field with a semantic label, which narrows down the list as the user types. When there is text in the field, some kind of button, an X, to clear the field. And when the field is cleared, the list is reset to its unfiltered state. Notes: you will know your label is correctly implemented if you click and the keyboard does the thing, right? We just talked about that. Filter text should match any part of the item name. It should not only match from the start of the string. So this is telling you if you decide to do regex or some other way of handling this criteria and how you're doing the matching. And the wireframe shows the filter field, but not it being used. So over here, you have a field, start typing in here. If I started typing EG, then I should only see eggs. If I started typing GG, I should see eggs. If I type in, see if I have one in here that copper. So if I type in PP, yeah, there you go, perfect. You should see the 24-ounce puppuccino and the jalapeno poppers both. So I think that all makes sense. Do we have any questions on this one? There's a little bit less criteria here, but the sorting, or we're not sorting, the filtering can be a little tricky. So especially with events and React state and all kinds of funness going on with reacting with a page. So I expect this one to look a little bit simpler, and then you get in there and be like, oh no, yeah. Okay, so let me bounce back over to that's the wrong one. This is a pull request. Where is my main thing? The project brief. See who we're doing for this week. Okay. So we have Jeremiah and Yao, we have Catherine and Tisha. We actually probably could have figured that out, but based on the last 2 weeks, it's all good. Okay, we'll just go with team one and give you the first right to throw your hat in for either one. Do you have either of you have a preference on which one you want to go for?
I want to do the first one, number 5.
Yeah, number 5. Okay. How about on the Catherine and Tisha team? Do you have any desire to do 5 yourself, or you guys want to just jump on 6?
I mean, I'm curious because we did, Yao and I worked on the local storage piece. So I'm, as like an initial like continuation, I was thinking that, but I feel like after you went through the second one, and 6, I guess, I feel like it's going to be a lot more difficult than we think it is. So I'm down for it's up to you, Tisha.
Yeah, I'm interested in implementing number 6. I think that could be a good one.
Cool. Jeremiah, everything good down there? All right, cool.
Yeah, I wanted to do the same one that I wanted to do, so.
Great. All right, so then we will have this team do number 5, this team do number 6. After we wrap up here, I will fire off the pair bot thing again so that you have the places to start. But again, I think y'all require less prompting to talk to each other than other people. So still nice to have. All right. Before we dive in and break up, any other questions?
Yeah, Lyle. So I know for tissue number 5, we wanted to talk about the flickering. Yeah, I know you didn't add it in there, but essentially now we would get flickering on both fronts, right? Like, if somebody tries to go to home when they're not supposed to, and somebody tries to go to list and add it when they're not supposed to. So I do have a working solution, but I did mention that it requires like a router overhaul. I have the code put up and like the working solution I can share, but I know we are out of time. So how should we proceed?
I think that I would start on the work that's here. So you have that, do you have that in a branch right now?
I have it in a test branch.
Okay. So I'd say like the code is probably still good and valid. So if we have time, then I think it might be okay to slide that in. but I would not let working on that for now derail getting the progress, the acceptance criteria in for the cards that we're working here. There'll be time later to do some cleanup stuff, some bug things as well. And it is kind of goofy, but it's not like the worst thing in the world to have that flicker in there. It's not actually breaking any functionality for the product. So I would, if I was in real world land, I would say like, yeah, that's a bug. It's probably a low priority cosmetic bug based on what it's doing. So we definitely don't want to forget about it. But at the same time, like, let's get the feature implementations out first and then fix the stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And my other mentors, anybody have other thoughts around that? Stephanie, look like
It's good. Oh, no, yeah, I think it's good in terms of, well, what you said with regards to functionality. I was just wondering though, like, did you all go over the 5 hour, like, did you go over 5 hours
That's a
for
good
this
question.
week? With like all the back and forth stuff.
I would say around there. I feel like a little bit more just because this flicker bug took some time to read into and debug. But that was kind of unexpected, and this was definitely out of the scope of this tissue anyways.
I was gonna say I took a little bit more only because I was like the Firebase documentation and stuff like that. I kind of looked into, and then reviewing the pull request, I like took a little too much time to go into it. I think so. I think I went a little over, but it's probably my own slowness.
So I think that's what you might be getting at, is that we really don't want people to be going over that time frame, right, right, Devin?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know, like, if like the issues were so complex that it required like, you know, an excessive amount of time over that 5 hour limit. Yeah, because I know you're all like working, like you all working overtime, it seemed, in Slack, and I saw like all the messages, and so I was just kind of wondering how much more time it took.
And like, if you're in a job, you're not expected to work 120 hours a week figuring stuff out and getting it taken care of. There's an art to saying, well, I guess I'm not going to get this done in the time that I said I was going to take this done and get it out there. And that's okay. And that's an important part of doing this type of work, and, you know, the type of things that we'll want to talk through when we get there and figure it out when that stuff happens. So, yeah, don't feel like you have to go over because such and such isn't in the right state. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up today?
Just to clarify, the if the user does already have a token, the second bullet, that's supposed to be if they don't have a token, right? Further down.
This one?
Yeah. If they don't have a token, they'll go back to the welcome page.
Oh yeah, good catch. I
Yep,
think.
yep.
Okay, just double checking.
Sorry, that was just me typing and thinking and being on camera at the same time.
Okay, cool.
It's also why you have other people read your acceptance criteria while you write it down, because you're like, oh, this made sense to me when I wrote it, but oops. Okay.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yes, actually going back to that, I think the main question, Lyle, was, is it okay if we, in order to solve that flicker problem, basically revamp the router? I think that's like more of a permission issue, and I just want to make sure like the whole team is on board.
Yeah, I think so. I would open a
Okay.
pull request and make sure
Okay.
that, like, you know, we all make sure it works and looks right and all that
Okay.
other same thing with all the rest of the code. But yeah, otherwise I don't see a problem. Cool. Okay. Any last call, everybody? Okay. You guys are doing awesome. Really, these are mature conversations that we're having about the work that we're doing. you're doing an excellent job communicating and getting the work done, and everything here looks great. So please keep doing all of that, and good luck on the next week's worth of work. I'm gonna stop now, and everybody have an excellent week.
Bye, everyone. Bye, guys.
Everyone.